Hey, and welcome to No Prize Podcast. I am the Professor Bud Young, and with me, straight from Studio 54, Lucas.
How do you do? Another awesome week. What, second week of March, man? Freaking can't wait to get into some of these books and Marvel news.
I was hoping that this was going to be the vaccinated episode of No Prize Podcast, but it is not
No
because the
joy.
websites in Massachusetts suck.
No joy, no
I'm
joy.
going to tell you. So Thursday, so first of all, what's weird is like they only put new appointments up on Thursdays, and because we only get vaccination shipments once a week apparently, so they open up the appointments at like 8 a.m. on Thursday morning, and if you are not on the website or in the queue at that point, forget about it. And I was in the queue at 8 a.m. and there was a 30-minute wait, and as soon as I got to the wait, like they said, "You're next." They popped me in, and I was like, "Ooh!" I saw an appointment. I clicked on it, and then it asked me 10 questions that I had to fill out. And by the time I filled out those 10 questions, someone had snaked my appointment, and then there was no more available. So
So you got Sony PlayStation on your vaccination, man.
it was unbelievable. I was so mad, and that was the furthest I've gotten in the last few weeks because I've been eligible for that vaccine for almost a month now. And I haven't, like, 2 weeks ago when I was in the queue, they said my wait time was like 3,300 minutes, which is like 4 days.
What?
Yeah, yeah, it was just insanity.
Eek.
So
Man.
uh, at least now I just missed the cut. So hopefully next week I'll be able to get one. But whatever. Well,
What you
maybe
gonna do, man?
next episode will be the
Uh,
vaccination
I mean,
episode.
no urgency. It's not like you can die or anything like that, right? Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
well, this is true. But sometimes I wish there was a vaccine for some current issues of Marvel Comics. Vaccinate me against
Look,
terrible comic books.
look, you ever heard the new motto for Marvel Comics? At least we're not DC. That's what I gotta
Uh,
say.
yeah, well, it could be worse. You could be reading Superman. Oh, yeah, okay. All right. All right. So let's jump right in. Let's talk about the finale of One Vision. How did that work out for you? Did it come out the way you expected it, or the way you wanted it? Was a satisfactory ending for you?
It after so the satisfaction came in the reading after, and the director comes out and says, "Yeah, we had other plans, and a lot of those Easter eggs were correct. However, we didn't have enough time for it, so we had to change it because they wanted to focus more on the relationship in between Wanda and Vision." Okay, gotcha. But we know for a fact that Wanda and Vision are not supposed to get back together after this, so the whole focusing on this thing didn't really make sense to me. Like okay, because the way I saw this series is it's supposed to be a jumping off point to all the other projects that Marvel has in the queue right now. Um, but you know what? I see a lot of people happy with it, and a lot of people are excited about what's going to happen with Falcon and Winter Soldier. So, okay, gotcha. But I know for a fact that this is not the way it should have been, and there's a lot of money left on the table on this one.
So yeah, I think so. This is one of those things that really kind of I don't know if it suffered because in the end I was satisfied with what happened in the show. But if we remember, the show's been done for over a year, and COVID caused them to break and then finish the filming after when it was safe. So I do think that maybe there was a little tinkering that went on with plots and scripts and what everybody else was doing. So maybe there was some cuts that maybe shouldn't have happened. There was some directions maybe they didn't go that they were kind of peppering us with. And I don't know, like, I know that we had our own theories on the show and how our own predictions for what was going to happen. and as well as everybody else, like in the you know, off in the internet, I was seeing some really outlandish. I know we talked Mephisto, right? And um, I think I kind of got off of the Mephisto bandwagon about midway through, but I think you might have been on it the entire time. Like, we're waiting for Mephisto. I still thought that we were going to get Doctor Strange. I was huge on the Quicksilver alternate universe theory that didn't apparently pan out. However, I feel like a lot of these things that we were talking about, there are elements still in there, and given the episodic nature of just Marvel MCU in general, these ideas are going to pop up down the line. I feel like that Evan Peters Quicksilver, even though he ended up being some dude named Ralph, um,
Right.
I think
Well,
in
is
the
that
end is going to end up really kind of being the Quicksilver from the other universe.
right?
They just didn't want to. They just didn't want to give us everything, so to speak, right?
Exactly.
So
So remember, it's not just Ralph; it's Ralph, and I know she pronounced it Boner, but it should be Ralph Bonner,
yeah.
right? So I
I
would
kind of thought you might have researched that. Who's Ralph Bonner?
Ralph Bonner. Remember, Ralph Von. It's not just Ralph Bonner; it's Ralph Bonner, which is another way of saying Ralph Vanandra, right? Which is Ramatut Kang. So I think that's something that they definitely want to research and go into because
Huh.
remember, she's been talking about this dude for like the longest.
Hmm.
A lot of the stuff that she mentioned is within this capability, but hey, they may have not been able to slip that in, or they're not ready to get that in because once again, another thing, and you mentioned about a lot of stuff had to change during COVID. One of the things that changed during COVID is that after they had already been shooting this, they had actually cast a guy to play King. And that guy just happens to be an African American right now. So, no, they were able to, if that's what happened, they were say, you know what, let's pull back from this right now and let's do something else. Even though, keep in mind that the different faces of King, Ramatur, Ralphanandra, I forget all of his Mortis and all these other names of they are different skin colors and different ethnicities going out through history. So
Yeah, but they can change that. I mean, I don't know if it would be that much of a casting mishap for them to cast like Rama Tut as dark skinned. Um, and I don't know. It's I think at this point, any changes they want to make in the MCU, you kind of have to buy into, whether or not they're casting for diversity uh, or what have you. I think Kang is pretty low on my list of characters I think should remain sacred, so to speak. So they
yeah,
can they can do whatever they want with them, as far as I'm concerned.
yeah. Um, so I am disappointed in a couple of things. The biggest thing is the whole Salem thing, right? Okay, you brought up Salem, and then you didn't do anything with it. I don't even understand what was the point of having the Salem, scenario without explaining more like what happened to it and how that affects everything later.
They could, but see, that's the
They
thing I like about the MCU is they can always go back to that.
That's
If
true. I
they
hope
want to
so.
do something with it, they can always go back to it, and that's the good thing about this. And that's um, I think when we have to look at, and this WandaVision more than anything with that episodic, and it feels like you're actually getting like an issue of Vision and Scarlet Witch every week.
Yeah,
Here's your next issue, and then that actually is a great feeling for me because I feel like you get that anticipation and that weight, and then you get some that sort of payoff and suspense for the next one. Um, so I'm totally with like whatever plot threads they want to keep dangling out there, or if there isn't everything that was totally completely resolved. Um, that's fine. I mean, we had Vision, we had a restored Vision take off, and we didn't see him again. So we know he's back, and we know he's out there. But the only thing is that it's a mine as the Vision. I think everybody fell in love with, right? I don't think anybody really loved Vision until this show,
Mm,
because
that's true.
he was he was more of your synthetic synthezoid robot in the Avengers movies. And here was when Paul Bettany got to shine and got to become that person that everybody. I think, like, I loved Paul Bettany. I think both of them, like I said, if both of these people don't win awards for the show, if this show doesn't win a ton of awards whenever that comes around, this is it's a travesty. But Paul Bettany was next to Elizabeth Olsen, like the revelation of this show, because he was just great in every scene he was in. The character, you loved Vision from the moment you saw him in the show. Doesn't matter if he had makeup, if he didn't have makeup, he was humanized for me by the end of the show. And I was sorry at the end when he dissolved into nothingness. I was like, oh, we have to go back to the Vision that's not going to remember any of this, right?
Right.
He's gonna remember being killed by Thanos, and then that's it. Then hard stop, restart. So I'm kind of like, I don't like. I hope for some reason that when their minds melded, pretty much, I'm hoping that the Vision that disappeared projected all of his thoughts and feelings onto his real body, and who knows, maybe it did, but the way he took off and then we didn't see him again. That's, does he turn up in Doctor Strange? I don't necessarily know, you know, but
Mm.
that's that's one of the things. That's one of the things that I liked about this show is the dangling plot threads at the end. And well, let's talk about what we were right about, right? We were right about the kids dissolving, becoming nothing.
Yeah.
We were right about we will, of course, we were right about Agatha Harkness, but that was, we were all right about
Everybody was
that.
there. Yeah.
We were right about the Darkhold, even though we had questions last time. That was definitely the Darkhold.
Right.
Um, and I think that there was so much that we were actually right about that I was happy at the end. I was like, okay, we got like a you know we kind of got that fanboy payoff, and and then we were, there was a couple of things we were wrong about, but we couldn't be right about everything.
Yep. I mean, the things that I suspected never. It's not necessarily that that I was necessarily wrong. It's that they never explained, right? They never followed through on going with it, and I guess that's fine, right? So, for instance, the Nexus, right? They dedicated a whole commercial to the
Yep.
Nexus. They
Yep.
never followed through on that one.
That's
The
but
kid.
see, that's one of the things that I think you can come back to.
Mhm. The kids that are upstairs that haven't eaten in what and forever, except for when she let them out to go to a Halloween. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. Even Dottie
um,
said in the last episode, can you just let my daughter come out of her room so I can hug her or something?
yeah. Um, I've got all types of crazy theories about that of where they wanted to go with that because
Yeah.
um, so the storyline that I think they wanted to follow through and that they never got to tell is because number one, one of the parts of the series is after she goes to see Vision's body, she goes straight to this city, right? And she has the blueprint and she freaking manifests the new look of the city. Well, in order to go straight to that city and you had the blueprint, that means you had to have been there before, right? So as she's something happened when she was there when she and Vision were there the first time, because that city was just broken down. The spirit of those people were just broken down. There's only like 6 or 7 people actually walking around. So something happened, and not only that, the kids were already missing because if you as she's driving through, the dude he's freaking putting up the thing that says this child is missing.
I missed that 100%.
Right. So remember, he's already putting up something that says this child is missing, and then later on at the very last episode, Dottie And remember, that's her child. She's saying, "Could you let my child out of the room?"
Hmm.
So that goes along my theory is that those children and most of that town is dead. Something happened that killed them all off,
Interesting.
right? And that's what actually happened in the comics is that something happened with Wanda and Vision that she got into a fight with the witches there, and she killed off the whole town. And the only ones that survived were the most powerful witches. They died too, but they came back. I
So do you think that they expand on this maybe in the Doctor Strange movie? Like
don't
that
think.
maybe this might be the overall plot where they realize that maybe Wanda was trying to help Westview, or you know, I mean
Right,
that she doesn't
right.
remember.
And that's interesting because well, I just don't know because right now they're on a high, right? They concluded nobody was necessarily terribly upset. So do they go back and revamp what happened, or and explain what actually happened, or did they just leave it the way it is because everybody was happy? Because a lot of the changes that they made in the MCU, so for were because people were upset with like Thor, because Thor was freaking terrible. Um, uh, a lot of stuff that Ant Man didn't freaking jive, so they used the later movies to freaking fix it and make everybody have a feel good about the way going forward. But right now, people are happy with the way WandaVision is, so I don't know if they need to fix it or if they're going to fix it. Um, Now, from what I'm hearing, that they're in talks for a season two of Wanda Vision.
I haven't
I
heard
don't
that.
know that. I don't know. Um, and I don't know if they need to, because right now the focus is going on to the whole Doctor Strange stuff,
Yeah.
and moving on with Captain Marvel and the other Marvels and all that
Yeah.
other stuff.
That's
Uh,
where that's where I think you're right is because uh, I don't think so. I don't want to think of these as TV shows. These are more of an event miniseries type thing, which actually is enhancing the MCU movies. You know, they're using Disney Plus is using this as a springboard or as a payoff, right? So we're getting paid off from being loyal for the MCU and getting extra stories about these characters that we've loved in the movies, and and actually having them be great movie theater quality actually shows. But going forward, when you look at the like everything, like literally everything they have coming out from the MCU is tied into the movie somewhat. You have WandaVision, we have Falcon and Winter Soldier coming next week, we have Loki, we have Hawkeye, we have Secret Invasion, which they tied in the very last episode here in the Stinger after credit scene. So you have all this stuff still tying in. What I think you might actually see multiple seasons of is the original shows that we're coming out with on Disney Plus, like Moon Knight or She-Hulk or Ms. Marvel.
I
Those
can't wait for those.
properties that are we're going to see for the first time, not necessarily in the MCU on the movie theater, but on Disney Plus, where they're being created for that. That's where we'll get maybe a season 2 or 3 or whatever the fans decide that they want to see. But here, I think WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier, all these characters that are like they're all movie stars, right? So
Yeah,
they're not coming down to earth to do TV forever,
all right.
unless it's Netflix.
That's
I
true.
don't know.
Right, grab that money. But looking at what the direction of where they're going right now, so you've got Blade on its way, but it's not till May 2022. Then you got Morbius. God knows when that's on its way.
Morbius is
Um,
done, right? Because I saw a trailer for that, so I know
yes.
that that's been and that was a year ago.
hmm
So
Iron Fist, Doctor Strange, Moon Knight. Um, so they've got several elements and characters moving around that would be great for either Marvel Knights or Midnight Suns, to
yeah,
do something like that.
I, I
The
don't
only
think we'd see a Midnight Suns on Disney Plus. That seems a bit adult.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I always thought that everybody's thinking that they're going to put Mephisto. And this was stretched too far because he's the devil. Chri- Moms, Christian moms across America are not going to accept Disney putting freaking the devil into that to this stuff because
Well, they put
nah.
Hades in the Hercules cartoon.
Right, but Hades is Hades, like that's a turbo
It's James
character.
Woods.
Everybody,
James Woods, a
yeah,
character more despicable than Hades.
yeah. I mean, people are going to totally understand, that Hades is bad and everything, but Mephisto, the problem with Mephisto is that there's a lot of times when even though he's supposed to be on the side of the bad guy, he's putting stuff he's doing stuff behind the scenes that makes him seem like the good guy sometimes. So Mephisto, he's too weird of a character and too conflict of a character for Disney Plus to push forward right now.
Right.
So they're going to leave it. They'll have him in a background of doing stuff, but they're not gonna. I don't. I would. I'm not going to believe they're going to put him out there right now.
Yeah.
Um,
They would have, if they have him in anything, it would have to be, I would buy him in like like a rated R, like a Wolverine. Like if they won't do a Wolverine movie rated R. Maybe they might. I don't know, because Deadpool 3 is coming, and that's going to be rated R. So,
ooh, it's going to be
well,
tough.
uh, I don't know. The jury is out to see what they do about that. You
Yeah.
know,
I mean, and they better not put it on Disney Plus, right? Because if they do, they're going to have put more restrictions on Disney Plus so to make sure that the kiddies can't get in there and freaking unlock it.
right. So let's look forward to we have a week. We're a week out from Falcon and Winter Soldier. We're going to see something I think that's going to be totally different in tone for WandaVision. So if you loved WandaVision for what it was, or if you thought the first couple of episodes were slow before we got into that, I do not think that this is going to be slow at all. I think this is going to be a wall-to-wall action suspense thriller,
Can't
um,
wait.
but buddy cop movie, big explosions, you name it. Don't you think that this is going to be huge?
Cannot wait. So there's two elements, and I'm more no Falcon. He's got the shield and everything, but I'm actually more interested in what's going on with Winter Soldier because the whole big thing right before or during the whole Black Panther was that he was there. His arm, that look at that big, beautiful freaking arm. That I forget the name of the freaking metal. Um, so that arm, makes him like, is it the White Tiger or the White Wolf or something like that? They need to go a little bit more into the history of that if they could delve into that. Delve into like how some more of the Wakanda stuff following on that, and then you can go into this whole Falcon and Winter Soldier thing. Um, that whole action thing, like okay, I'm sure it's going to be absolutely fantastic, but I need to know more about what's going on behind the scenes with Wakanda because I think they just finished wrapping up for Black Panther Part Two. Um, so that would be interesting to see how they're going to freaking tie the TV series into the movies because they got to because
That's
the wings as well. Remember the wings from Falcon as well come from Wakanda.
Yep.
So they gotta freaking delve in that. Send me to Wakanda for a little bit. You can explain what's going on, and then go into this other stuff and intrigue.
Well, that's and with the change, what like I think the slight changes for what was going to be revealed in WandaVision, where I feel like they were going to be a little more heavy-handed in introducing the alternate realities and nexus of all realities, stuff like that, which they kind of pulled back on. I think Falcon and Winter Soldier, where that first shot in the trailer that you see the city coming at you, that's Madripoor, right? So I mean, you can't get any more mutant than Madripoor. Um, so with if the whole thing, and I don't know if maybe it's just the first scene or if the whole show is going to be set in Madripoor, which I think would be really cool especially if you introduce a couple of characters that we might know from, like Tiger or some other characters that we know to be Wolverine related, that this might be more of a springboard of, you don't have to necessarily mention mutants, but have a setting where that is like obviously obvious to the fans, the comic book fans, but not necessarily to the casual fan, right? Because
Right.
we've never seen Madripoor or even in any of the Wolverine movies either. So
Right.
that to me that would be key, and that's real. Honestly, if you're going to do eventually mutants in the Marvel universe, if you're just going to do Madripoor, just do that. That's all I need. That's all I really need. You don't have to have any mutants in there. Just have a setting that makes me feel good that I know that they're coming. You know?
Well, here's a question: would you rather them, or do you even care if they go to Krakoa? How
No, I
fast
don't
do you
want to.
want?
I don't ever want to see Krakoa. I don't ever want to see
Like the
Krakoa.
whole Krakoa
Nope, I don't want to see Krakoa at all. I don't want, just the fact that the mutants are persecuted, and they're the they're really the true minority, right? I mean, that's the Marvel's parallel to racism, and that's their platform, really, to kind of speak to that. Um, and I think that you don't need a Krakoa that separates all those people from the rest of the world. You need to kind of have that tension out there, right?
Right. Yeah.
I
So, I mean, I, I guess so. Like, but because you're making good points, right? Because right now, if you look at it that way, right? If you tell me, hey, number one, X-Men are persecuted, so X-Men just decide to build their own country and they go off and isolated. That's racist as hell, right?
don't
That-
don't you think?
that's racist as hell, right? But if you give me the context of, hey, there's some big existential threat that's happening in the future, and they need to get prepared for it. And in order to get prepared for it, they need to break off from these countries because the countries are not going to be are not physically nor mentally prepared to do what needs to be done. So they go off and they do their own thing on Krakoa. Um, that gives a little bit more context. But the other way, like nah, son,
Sorry,
nah,
the way I put it. I'm sorry.
yeah,
I'm sorry, Lucas. I'm sorry.
yeah,
It's my lack of sensitivity, I think.
like nah. I mean, it's cancel culture, man. Forget this stuff, man. But it's because I thought about it several times. Like, man, if you only give me three sentences, you're done. You're done. Like, oh, mutants are persecuted. Everybody hates them, so they go off and build their own Liberia. Like, no, no, that's like
Uh,
no,
it's,
no. That is
no,
not a
I
that is
you
not a
know
good look.
did we just blow up Robert Kirkman? Sorry, cancel Kirkman.
Yeah. Like, oh,
Sorry,
oh
sorry. I
man.
don't mean that, Mr. Kirkman, if you're listening. Sorry. All right, so let's take a break. We'll come back and we'll actually talk some comic books. So let's who do we want an ad for? Let's do.
Let me ask you a question. Are you wanting to read a new comic book that has nothing to do with the big two? Are you tired of looking through countless titles and have no idea where to begin? Well, don't you worry, because the Random Dude Josh and Johnny the Machine Hughes has the podcast for you. Flipside Focus, only on the Undercover Capes Podcast Network.
And we're back. Check out Flipside Focus if you're tired of Marvel, kind of like me. If you don't like DC, kind of like everybody else. Check out Flipside Focus, because they talk primarily indie books and in the really hot stuff and what you should be reading out there for indie. So check it out. All right, so let's talk about some Marvel. And I want to jump into Daredevil because first of all, it was the book I feel was the one more worth talking about than anything else this week. And I don't want to clobber everything right away. So let's talk about Daredevil.
Don't be scared. Don't be scared, man. Don't be scared. Get right into it, man.
All right, so written by Chip Zdarsky with art by Marco Cicchetto. Sorry, I should have Johnny try to pronounce that. Colors Marcio Meniz and Clayton Cowles, VC's Clayton Cowles as letterer, and we have the editors Danny Kazem and Devin Lewis. If you don't like it, blame them, Nick Lowe. This is issue number 28 in Chip Zdarsky's run, legacy issue number 640. Now, if you remember a few months ago, we had Elektra take over the Daredevil costume because Matt decided he wanted to get thrown in jail for killing someone, and he is currently serving a 2-year sentence. And this, I mean, we all know he's not going to be in there for 2 years, right? But the storyline that's going on right now makes me kind of wish they keep Matt in jail for 2 years and just kind of see how that plays out, because he's kind of like a victim of his own great lawyering, where they protect his identity, right? So he doesn't have to reveal that he's Matt Murdock. They just throw him in jail with his mask on, which to me it was, I think, great storytelling, and the just the cast of characters that they have here. Where I mean, here you have Elektra trying to carry on the mantle as Daredevil. Is probably not going to work out the way everybody thinks, but right now I'm like, I love the whole reveal and everything. Plus you have Kingpin in the background, as well as Typhoid Mary, who, you know, classic Daredevil villains. And here it's just the drama that Zdarsky's created in the jailhouse, where you know, I know that when we reviewed Daredevil before, and Johnny doesn't like Daredevil because it's a Batman clone, right? I mean, I think that that this is a story that you can't really tell with Batman, right? This is a story that is Daredevil. It's like the culmination of Matt's consistent, maybe bad judgment, and
Yeah.
consistent. You know, he wants to be heroic, but he wants to also serve, obey the law of, you know, that he helps serve and protect. But you know, having him sit in jail is allowing them to tell stories that I never thought they would. One of the best scene in this book has to be the shower fight, right? And I just like that whole fight where he just takes out like the naked dudes in the shower, in the shower, and then he's, you know, and I'm just like, dude, this is something that we should like never had ever seen in comics, and I loved the scene. And then you have other scenes where he's talking to the shrink that's in the prison, and like they're trying to get to, like, you know, why he keeps the mask on, and why he feels so bad that he wasn't able to save the guy that ended up killing himself, and then like why he feels tortured, that even though Spider-Man arrested him, but Matt Murdock put the guy away, that he didn't want to sit with the guy at lunch. You know, and then the dude later ends up committing suicide, and Matt feels bad because, oh, maybe I could have done something if I let him sit with me at lunch. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
this this
Freaking
this book
weirdo.
this book really, I think, Zdarsky's given Matt a voice I don't think we've really seen before. He continues to keep Matt vulnerable in all the areas that he is vulnerable, and you know, it really is one of these books, and I complain all the time about the writers that don't really respect what's come before, but I think here, I think this book is really kind of just plug it away on all cylinders. I never thought that like 2 or 3 years later that Kingpin would still be the mayor of New York City and just be like,
Yeah.
just evil. He just evils it out, and it's really it's great. Elektra's kind of misused in this issue, as far as like they're just kind of using her to try to just keep her busy, right?
Right.
She's not in any kind of action scenes. This is a pure Matt issue, Matt in jail. But it seems to me like we're getting like every other issue, like we get a Matt issue and then we'll get an Elektra issue. And to me, perfect. Just keep it going, man. I love this run, and I think Chip's doing great. I think this is great. So, what did you think, Lucas? I know I'm kind of
There's all types of
capitalizing.
stuff. Oh yeah, there's all types of stuff happening right now. Right now, like you've already mentioned the whole thing about yeah, he's in jail. He's having a pity party. I love the fact that the therapist calls him out and says, "Hey, there are people that are really in jail, and they are here because they had no other choice.
Hmm.
You, you're a tourist. You are a sick tourist. You're not here because you really want to. You're just here, and it's so evident that that's true because he's not sitting around freaking getting knocked around like no, he's sitting there and he's literally just gathering information on the other guys, just sitting around, just walking,
Yeah.
just
It's
oh
it's
my
like it's
god,
like it's like he's punishing himself, right? He's punishing
yeah,
himself.
my
How
goodness.
how
So
Catholic?
yes,
How Catholic
so
of you?
that is fourth wall excellence, right? It freaking cleans it up. Ma- As terrible as an idea for a storyline as it is, that says, yeah, we know we're full of crap. We know we're full of crap, but here's the lady that freaking causes on it, and it's so evident in other freaking things that we have happening in society where people say, "Oh yeah, man, I'm freaking tortured. I'm the victim here." No, you're here because you wanted to be here, and you're just a freaking tourist. Because if you were really a tourist, if you really weren't a tourist, and this was really your deal, you wouldn't have had a lawyer to freaking support you. And there are guys in here that they hardly did anything, yet they're here.
Yep.
So the other storyline, as you mentioned, the Kingpin. I am intrigued by what is going on with the Kingpin and many different storylines right now. In fact, shoot, I need to freaking see if I can go pick up his first appearance. But um, he's got the tablet of life, a piece of the tablet of life, and he's got the tablet of death rocking around. He's got the thunderbolts running around the freaking city. You can fighting these the Venomites and all this other stuff. He's got that freaking going. And in the meantime, he's the mayor of New York right now. He's got all this other stuff that's going, and you know what he's focusing his energy on? Trying to kill Matt Murdock.
Yeah. That's that's what I love about him.
Uh, huh? Huh? Uh, I think they're modeling after their Kingpin after a former executive that we had at 5,000
Hey,
Pennsylvania Lane.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, well, let's let's let's
Jesus,
let's let's front that because Kingpin's always been Kingpin. He's
yeah, but
his main reason for being has always been to just mess with Matt. So,
yeah,
you
but
know,
I mean, to the fact that you got all types of stuff going on to run a city, and so here's what I didn't like about the storyline is right now we're still in King of Black. We just had maybe it was a one shot where they're battling it out with the Venomites still.
yeah.
The
No,
Venomites,
they had a crossover issue. Last issue was King of
yeah,
Black.
yeah, and freaking the Venom stuff freaking gripped him up, and he's covered in the goo and everything. And then we get back to here this thing, and nothing's happening. And we can't say that it's off in some other world because the therapist, she's sitting in a chair and she's reading the paper, and it says aliens, superheroes versus aliens.
Yep. Hey,
Like, come on, huh?
this is a this this storyline was a victim of the events, right? I would have been totally happy for this Daredevil run to exist in a bubble with no King in Black attacking it at all. So I feel like that was thrown in there because editorial said, "Hey, you need to do something with Null." Um, and Zdarsky's probably pissed about it, because that,
Yeah.
I mean, and it did kind of interfere with the storyline that's going on a little bit, and so now we're back to ignoring it, and we get
Yeah.
the headline on a newspaper page. So that's fine with me. That's fine with me. I'm
Yeah.
back to our regularly scheduled episode.
Yeah.
So
And then the last thing I'll leave this off with is, I forget what her name is. Her name Alice? Is that the little girl's name? Um,
yes,
so first appearance, I believe, was in number 25. Her mother is dead. She's got nobody else. I think she's Electra has already called foster care and says, "All right, you're gonna sit around and do whatever you want. No, you're gonna go through anger, and guess what? When you're done with the anger, you come see me, right? Because we gotta go train. So that they better not waste it. They better turn this into a character. They better turn her into something. No, she could be a member of the hand or whatever. Do something with her, but don't freaking let's go to waste because she's got nobody else. She's got nowhere else to go. Let her go ahead and join a member of the hand, and I'll be happy with that.
she's gonna be like Hit Girl. She'll be,
Mm.
she'll be
Bite size
El-
assassin.
Electret, Electra.
Like, hey, why not, man? Freaking, if we got that crazy behind Children of Adam, hey, everybody gets a freaking sidekick and you know a little version of yourself, man. Why not? Let's do it.
Well, mini Electra, mini me.
Yeah, Spider-Man gets a mini one, and Miles Morales freaking Electro gets one.
Uh,
Black Cat's got the White Cat, right? That one's
d-
coming out soon.
oh, great. No, uh, no. That's one thing. That's one thing I'm gonna freely admit. DC does way better than Marvel is legacy characters. I'm not even gonna try to keep up with DC. DC does legacy characters like no one's business, and Marvel just can't do it. They just can't. So I'm sorry. If I had to choose between uh, like Clint Barton Hawkeye and Kate Bishop Hawkeye, I still take Clint Barton, but that's because I'm old, I'm sure. And you know what? Maybe my opinion changes after the TV show, but right now
Yeah,
I don't. I always with Marvel I always take the original over the replacement, but in DC, give me Wally West Flash all day long. You know, I'll you know I'll take
there
I'll take some
there
of the
is
replacements.
no there is no proper development of a younger character in either one, neither Marvel nor DC.
Yeah.
Um, and I know people get tired of me. You don't, hey y'all don't have to keep sending me hate mail because I keep talking about manga. I know you don't like hearing it, but I use it to make a point. Um, Manga is unique in that it has not only stories about whatever, right? Snails, spiders, basketball, volleyball, whatever. It's not unique in that. It's unique in the fact that it's development of the character. So a character where it will start terribly, right? Not knowing anything, but it will take you through the steps that they need to get to some of the most powerful characters in their universe. DC nor Marvel don't do that. They give you 4 issues, and all of a sudden they're freaking archery experts. Right? Manga says, hey, if there's 10,000 hours needed to become an expert, we're going to take those 10,000 hours. And you're gonna fall in love with the character, and and oh yeah, you oh yeah, in America they're doing this whole romance thing where they kiss and then they're in bed by the second episode. No, we're gonna make it take 7 seasons to get these guys. We're gonna get take 7 seasons, and then on 7 seasons, you know what you're gonna get? You're gonna get a handshake. Good luck on
Oh,
that one.
geez.
And I love that. So that's the issue that Marvel and DC need to develop right now when it comes to their characters, um, and I don't know how they do it. Is because we're so used to the instant gratification with our characters,
Yeah.
and that's fine because we're older. We don't got time. We want to see it, but guess what? While they're gratifying us older guys. They're leaving behind the younger generation that want the whole younger. They want the. They want. They want the slower. They want the younger generation wants the step by step by step, right? Um, and it's kind of funny when I go out with my boys and they because they've been programmed by TV, they want to go out to the club and they want to leave 30 minutes later with a girl, right? Whereas whereas the younger generation, they want to walk in and maybe they'll get the phone number, maybe they'll get that glance, you know, they'll get that glance and then they come home and then they call me and they're like, hey, for 2 hours they're talking about that glance and what that glance could have meant. And they're talking to the homegirls about, oh man, he took 2 steps and then he turned around. It's all types of crazy stuff.
Maybe
So
I'll
so
actually say hello next week.
yeah. So right. So that's what's missing. That's what's missing with it. When we talk about these characters like America Chavez, there's so much potential with them. Um,
Yeah.
but they're just missing the step by step. The clue, no, the what is it? When is Gay Pride Month? Like, is that next month or in a couple months?
I
They're throwing
don't
all
know.
types of they're throwing all types of stuff out there, but they're missing the key steps to get me to care about
Yep.
these romances right now. So
That's thank you for saying that. You need to we need to care about the characters before you do anything, right? So
right,
that's I think that was my problem with a lot of these the heroes that have been debuting over the last few years is that they're thrown in there to either ride the back of a brand or appropriate a brand as a replacement hero, whether you're talking like Ironheart replacing Iron Man or if we'll go you can go on from there. But a lot like I didn't care about that character before you replaced it. You know,
yeah,
I need to care. I need to build it up. When 40 years ago, when Rhodey replaced Tony Stark in the Iron Man armor, because Tony was a drunk, we already knew and we already cared about Rhodey, right? Because we knew that he was Tony's best friend and Tony's bodyguard and Tony's helicopter, whatever, he was a helicopter pilot or something for him. We already knew and cared about Rhodey before Rhodey ever put the Iron Man armor on. So when that happened, we were just like, "Oh my God, this is great! I love this. I love this character. I'm invested in Iron Man still, even though it's no longer Tony."
hmm,
So that to me is you don't when you introduce Riri Williams and by the end of the first issue she's Iron Man, you
right.
know, then
But
you don't
yeah,
care. You're not
yeah.
buying.
By the end of the first issue, she has a costume that took Tony Stark almost 30 to 40 years to freaking build. And he's the next thing he's like,
That Tony built with a gun to his head in Korea.
yeah.
So true.
Moving on. Moving on.
Let's okay.
Um.
Speaking about costumes, what do you think about the Spider-Man costume
Okay.
that debuted this week? Let's jump into that real quick because
Let's
I don't want to
see.
talk about the issue. I really don't. Let's just talk about the costume.
Amazing Spider-Man number 61. This is one has been building up. This one, I mean, going back 2 to 3 years, there's a lot of elements in the storyline. The building relationship with Jonah Jameson and Peter Parker getting fired and then trying to move on to a new journalism platform. Um, Nick Spencer as the writer, art by Patrick Gleason. So he's the one that's designed the suit. And let me be clear. Patrick Gleason is hot right now. He's got those 3D freaking line type freaking covers. In fact, this one back here, he's the one that freaking did that piece of art that everybody loves. So for him to design a suit, it's like, okay, all right, let's see what's going on. I'm not sure if I'm in love with color scheme, but Elgar Delgado as a colorist, VC Joe Caramanga as the letterhead. Um, Here we go. So
Mm,
white and blue, and then
mm,
the lines of the spider are in gold and lighten up and
mm.
everything. The purpose of the suit is that um, Peter Parker Peter Parker's broke. This journalism platform they want to give the suit to Spider-Man so they can pay him, and there's all types of things. It's supposed to give them powers, but really, it allows them to track them, allows them to um, photograph them and videograph them, and put commercials all around his head while he's fighting bad guys and all this other stuff.
Well, it's like a virtual reality suit, and you can go online and probably for a modest fee see through the eyes of Spider-Man in like a virtual reality thing. So you can be Spider-Man by putting a helmet on in your own living room, and you can see him swinging through the city, fighting the bad guys, etc. That's that's kind of, I guess, the unique thing. Um, and the only thing, like, I just personally, I don't think it works. Um, like even then, like they have Spidey fighting Hydro Man in that panel, but like people are commenting and tweeting and
Yeah,
like
and
tweeting their like
he has to
comments,
say it. Yeah, he
and
has to say the comments. Like, what?
yeah, it's just like, oh my goodness. And this is where I kind of think where when we think Nick Spencer writing, um, that I loved his writing in Deadly Foes of Spider-Man. I loved his writing in Captain America, where we actually got the uh, that whole storyline with Hydra from a few years ago. But here it's like, and for the most part, I think that we've been looking at Nick's Spider-Man run as maybe like a little too much, right? Because I think we were kind of complaining about Kindred, like we had to wait 50 issues to get that revelation. But his whole run has been peppered with things like this that I'm just not 100% on board with. There's the costume is reminiscent from 30 years ago. Do you remember they introduced like the Hornet in Prodigy
Yeah,
and a couple of other other Spider-Man identities, right? This looks like one of those costumes. That's like a '90s costume where, um, totally changed the color scheme, and you can't change the costume. I mean, maybe they got away with it once with the black costume, but you can't change the costume so much that it doesn't look like the character anymore, right? And
right.
that's
Nope.
where we are. I mean, it doesn't look like Spider-Man. It looks like a Spider-Man villain,
True.
right?
True. So the speculators are not buying this. Nobody
Right.
cares about this. Everybody knows that he's going to go back to his old costume sooner than later.
Yeah.
Um, in the meantime, you're just wasting my time, right? Because it was it, it was just the first just a few issues ago, and this is from Marvel fandom. Thank you for actually I can't bring it up. Um, the what's it called Marlin, right? Marlin was a big part of that storyline. That was the vampires, spiders that eat spiders and everything.
Yeah.
That was a whole big. And then okay, and then they dropped that whole storyline, and then now they're on to this thing. Why?
Yeah.
Why? You got me all lathered up, and then you freaking didn't wash me over that thing, right? Um, you had the whole thing about the whole Order of the Web, right? Miles Morales, Jessica Drew, Gwen Stacy, Silk, you got them all together, and then I was like, all right, we're gonna go battle, and then they just dropped the whole thing. I haven't heard about the whole thing since. Why?
Yeah. I don't know.
Why are they wasting my time on this stuff?
When I see this costume, it brings out the old person in me, and I just want to say, "Get off my lawn."
Like,
you know, I don't I don't get it,
it was not
but
needed, not necessary. I mean, other than maybe they want to sell new dolls or anything like that, or maybe that's new
but
toys.
it- is I mean that used to be a motivation like 10 or 20 years ago to just kind of like change the guy's look so we can sell action figures. But are action figures still that hot? I don't think
No,
that they are anymore.
they are not. The best they can hope for is maybe in Fortnite, the game. People will buy a skin,
Uh, right.
or in the Miles Morales game, they can maybe sell that in there and get people hyped about that. But nah, no,
Yeah.
nobody cares
I
about this one.
I would like to see, them carry on the momentum from other, like, they kind of have a little bit of momentum from the finishing up the Kindred storyline. I would like to see that continue. Uh, this to me is just like a side trip that was unnecessary. So we'll see.
Yeah, so unnecessary. My goodness. All right,
All
whatever.
right. Speaking
Moving
about
on.
unnecessary, speaking about unnecessary, let's talk Children of the Atom, finally released after being solicited about a year ago, right? And then this was one of those books that was the victim of COVID, right? This got put on hold indefinitely, and finally we get this issue now. Maybe you can speculate a little bit for me on why release this now. Why did it take them so long to kind of get this back on the schedule, especially if it's been done so long? Do you think that they tried to retool this or anything, or uh, because it does. First of all, it's not really related to any of the other X-Men books, so I just don't know why they missed the boat by not putting it out. Because it wasn't this. I kind of feel like this book was supposed to come out with, like, connected to the Outlawed um, story in Champions, and
Right.
um,
It
you
would
know.
have made sense. Yeah, it would have made sense to connect that to that or something else or any other event, but this is just out there by itself. No reason. Nobody cares. Nobody wants this book. Nobody ordered. I mean, so once again, this is amazing of how invisible. That's going to be my rating for this book. Invisible this book is because there are several, maybe like three first appearances in this book.
Before you go on, was this book was there any hype for this book a year ago when it was solicited? Was
No,
anybody excited for
no,
this?
no.
Okay,
Everybody was
okay.
pissed off. Everybody was still pissed off because Marvel made the announcement that they were going to have two new characters called Snowflake and Safe Space.
Oh, well, that was,
Yeah,
yeah, and that was
yeah,
over in New Warriors. But
yeah.
okay, all
Like,
right.
oh, so so for them to come out with this and it doesn't really have any direction, we're not sure what's going on with it. So speculators are just like, okay, you gave me these books. I got the book. Now what do you want me to do with it? And then they had the nerve to make a 1 to 25 and a 1 to 10 variations for it. Once again, a book that nobody cared for, nobody asked. Writer Vita Ayala. I've heard that name before. I'm not going to see anything else. Art by Bernard Chang. Color art by Marcelo Mayola. Letterers VC's Travis Lanham. And design by Tom Muller. He's done a really great job with some of these X books. Um, so you've got these new characters. I apologize that this thing is so small. Cherub. His first appearance was out actually in Marvel Voices, and Cyclops last. Her first appearance was in Marvel Voices as well from 2020. Um, but the new guys that are their first appearance that are in this book is Marvel Guy, Gimmick, and Daycrawler. And it just starts out with this group of these mutants, these five teenage mutants fighting against Hellbells. That was a team back from what was that, the 80s?
So yeah, early '90s.
80s, yeah,
Yeah.
early 80s, yeah. Um, so that was once again that was weird because once again continuity, time, whatever. Let's forget about that. But it's pretty interesting what these teens can do because some of them actually have some skill sets that are very comparable to some of the X-Men that have already been around. So, for instance, Daycrawler, his skill set is very comparable to Nightcrawler. Cyclops last, well, Cyclops. Gimmick, very similar to Gambit. Cherub, I forget what his powers were. Um, or was it Cable? Very comparable to Cable.
The
Or was it? I
Angel.
forget. Angel. There
Cherub
you
is
go.
Angel.
There you
Cyclops
go.
less
There you
is
go.
Cyclops. Daycrawler, come on. Daycrawler? He's even got like the three-toed thing going on, and that's it's almost gimmick is gambit. It's to the level of embarrassing. I mean, unless this whole thing is going somewhere, but who cares at this point?
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, I
Yeah.
didn't mean
No,
to
no, 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 no,
interrupt you.
no. I mean, yeah. I mean, because I'm anybody's going to struggle to make sense of why they felt this book was necessary. The X-Men, some of the X-Men or mutants from Krakoa show up to invite them back so they can talk and everything, and the teens go, no, no, we're fine. We're here. We're mutants, and we're get get used to it, and then they just go off on their own thing. Um, Mutants, we have a few scenes with the mutants back in Krakoa talking about it. Say, hey, if we can readdress this. But they're also saying, hey, there's something weird going on with these mutants because we've been trying to track what's been going on with Cerebro saying it's been disconnected. Weird stuff. Not it's all explained. Other than saying, hey, stuff's not right. The the other thing that comes into is that we can see that these kids are really teens. They're freaking at the high school, um, and they're just going through the grind of normal superhero stuff. Like, yeah, I've got powers, but guess what? I still gotta have a costume. Costumes are expensive. Gas money's expensive. Just the normal grind stuff. Like, okay, whatever. Um, the and once again, going through this freaking book, I don't see what was the point of it. For my 3.99 of the regular cover, what did I buy? I
Right.
what's going to be their mission going forward? I'm scared, right? Because after the whole this Power of X and House of X, each of these books had a definite direction. Hey, this department over here, they investigate crimes. This one over here, they are our special ops. This one over here, they're supposed to be going out and freaking saving X-Men. Now we've got this team of teens, and they're just out there. There's no direction. There's no direction for the story. They're just here. That's what I get for my 3.99. I'm just bewildered, and in the meantime, it's spending my time having to read through it and trying to figure out what's supposed to be the purpose or point of these guys. And I'm disappointed in this book.
So I'm going to go through a couple of page scene that was the most disappointing part in this book, and that's when the actual X-Men appear. And the actual X-Men are in a scene in this in the middle of this issue where they're playing pool on the moon. And you have Marvel Girl, Storm, Cyclops, Nightcrawler, Wolverine. First of all, Wolverine looks like my fat brother-in-law sitting on the couch drinking a beer, and that's kind of not borderline offensive. I just think that it's like, I mean, he's got obviously got a pouch. Like Wolverine does not have a pouch, guys. He's not your college buddy. Uh, the other thing that and this is just an aesthetic thing for me is Nightcrawler and Cyclops are actually just playing pool with cue sticks and just kind of there's nothing special going on there. If I'm going to see Nightcrawler and Cyclops playing pool, I want Nightcrawler up on the pool table in a crouching position, using his tail as the to hold the cue stick, right? And I want Cyclops to not use a stick at all. I want him to be refining his force beam and using that as the cue stick to play pool with. That would be the lost opportunity here to make you feel like these characters are something special instead of just wearing kinky leather outfits. And that to me was I looked at that, I read that whole sequence, and I was like, man, what a lost opportunity to to show off how cool your characters are, or how much more fun would it have been for Bernard Chang to draw, you know, other than just having him. Okay, Cyclops takes a shot with the pool cue. You know, I would just be like Zap. You know,
Yeah.
why don't we get that? Why do we have Nightcrawler just standing there being like acting all like a regular human instead of being Nightcrawler and you know and using his prehensile tail, which I honestly I think in Claremont's X-Men that would be exactly what would have happened.
Yeah.
So
I see Nightcrawler as a type of individual that doesn't use his butt to sit around. I see him perched on a freaking corner somewhere,
yeah, exactly.
or up on the furniture, like some creepy type of gargoyle. We can just
Yeah.
sitting up there, freaking watching over everybody. Instead, what do they got him? They got him sitting on a freaking couch.
Yeah, but that's you know how would a guy like Nightcrawler sit on the couch anyway with the tail in the
He's
way?
that dude is not sitting on my white couch because you got to remember that dude when he poofs sulfur.
Yeah, that's true.
Sulfur black all over a white couch,
Yeah, no,
the missus would go ballistic. So no,
forget that.
no, hey, you go ahead, sit over in the corner, man. I love you, I love you like a devil a stepchild, but the missus gonna kill me. The kid's gonna kill me. But you go, you get scared, you go poof. you know, like nah,
So,
like
yeah, so I mean, this issue is just a miss. It's a miss for me, and I mean, I like Bernard Chang's art generally. Um, I feel bad that this book has been done for a year and is just getting released now, and I feel like it's kind of like a forgotten release. And I think I don't think this book gets past issue 5, um, which for being a mutant book it'll be saying something because they release a lot of crap um, as far as the mutants go. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. I just, I'm not on board with any of these characters. I don't care. It's, I just don't. I don't care. I don't care who they are. I don't care why they're dressed like X-Men. Um, I don't know. They're just going to be one of those books that I'm going to forget came out. So,
right,
so
yeah,
sorry, Marvel. Try again.
yeah. Not try getting in some other book or freaking decrease the price because I don't get it. I don't know what they want us to do with this book.
It's a good name for a book too. Children of the Atom. Kind
Didn't they
of.
already have a Children of the Atom? This is volume 2, right?
I don't know. I can't. I don't remember a Children of the Atom book. It might have been a one shot, but a Children of the Atom regular book we haven't had. Um, but that title uh, shouts out to me as like almost like New Warriors or New Mutants or something where you get uh, well, we do get brand new characters here, but I just don't. I something turns me off to the fact that they're just all templates uh, of current X-Men. So I just don't. Why don't you just have a book and use the regular X-Men? I would totally care about it a lot more. Um, I don't. I don't
You
care why
decided.
they're. I don't care why Cyclops Lass is wearing Cyclops' costume. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not curious as to why that's going on. I don't care. So whatever. That's the worst. That's the worst possible feeling that I can have about a comic is that I don't really care. Um, so yeah, like again, back to the drawing board. So, all right. So anyway, read Daredevil. Daredevil, I think we both really love. Go read
Right.
that. Skip this, and then Spider-Man. Hey, I guess I imagine some of you like that costume. So
Yep.
more power to you.
So collect Deadpool this week.
Oh, the 30th anniversary issue.
Right. The
It's
Avu
hard.
mate.
It's
Yeah.
horrible, by the way.
Yeah. It is horrible. It's a hidden gem because there's a story where there's a new character called the Avu Matrix that's in there, and apparently he's going to make a baby with her. Um, Not speculating on lovemaking. Just saying. Just saying. Um, Also, the Eternals has got a bunch of new characters, not necessarily superheroes, but the whole Tony Robinson thing that's coming to a head. Interesting read. Um, Hulk, new look for the leader. That's a whole interesting thing. I don't think it's going to last, but again, I love myself the Hulk.
And that book is barreling towards its finale. I think that's ending with issue 50, right? So we got about 6 issues left on that. So catch
Yeah,
up. It's good. It's a good ride.
absolutely. Um, Conan, there is a new character in there, but nothing big happened there. And just a lot of titles this week with either you're gonna want to have it or you're not. It's just but the ones that we read that woof,
Hmm.
oof,
Hmm. Well,
oof.
we'll see. I'm kind of glad that we have MCU stuff coming out, so we can talk the shows uh, more than the comics. So. All right, so we're gonna end this where I know we're running a little long in the tooth there. So come back at us in 2 weeks where we'll be we'll be in the tail end of April. It's probably like the last day of the month, maybe. But we'll see you then. And until then, stay safe. And I hope you all get vaccinated. I hope I'm vaccinated in 2 weeks. Peace. And boop.